Hey y'all, welcome back. And tonight I have my normal co-host back. He took a week off. We'll you know talk about it in a little bit. It is part of our subjects we're going to talk about because we have to. Um, but Kevin, welcome back. How was the week off?
Wasn't really a week off. I was working. Wish I was able to crash like Cyrus did. I wish I would have known that he was coming on and when, and I could have just kind of just jumped in whenever I felt like it, like Cyrus did. So, and there was no proof of anything being planned until all of a sudden a video recording was being sent over to Andrew. So, but yeah, we're
Hey,
here.
I
We're
texted
back.
him and Andrew, and Cyrus said, "Yeah, I'll join." Drew said he couldn't, so
Yeah.
Cyrus and I talked basketball and some other shit for about 45 minutes. It was
Oh
a
no,
short one.
we'll unravel all that because I listened to that episode, and we'll go ahead and talk about that when we get to that. So shall we continue?
I feel like I'm gonna lose my co-host at the end of this episode.
Never know. Maybe we'll see.
He's putting in his 2 weeks resignation. But I don't have a hat. Kevin, I know you said you just got home, so
We don't have any apparel today, guys. We're really sorry. We'll make up for it next episode. I swear.
yeah, I'll probably buy a new hat here in the next
There you
like
go.
day or two. Who gives a shit?
There you go.
Well, let's talk real quick. Sports update. Just really, there's a lot of sports to talk about, but let's just kind of go over the couple of quick things. Big thing in my opinion, and I'm biased because it's New England Patriots, but we did sign our quarterback to a 4 year, $36.6 million fully guaranteed deal with a $23.6 million signing bonus, and only a cap hit of 6.6 million this year. So not too bad for the Patriots. I'm happy about that. They still have three guys they have to sign. Kevin, have the Steelers signed any of their top rookies yet?
I haven't heard anything. I do know our guy Zach Frazier. He signed his deal, I believe, because he was it wasn't OTAs. But I haven't heard anything on our first rounders yet. So stay
So
tuned. I think they did. I just haven't really dug into it, but we shall see what happens. I think most of them are going to sign, without a doubt.
so that they can participate in OTAs without a contract. I
Oh,
guess
is that a thing? I didn't know that.
it's once they get into July, um, when it gets to like the mandatory mini can't like the mandatory stuff, that's when they need to have their contract by. But majority of them are done
Mm.
by middle of June, end of June. So shouldn't be any worry. I do have a quick question for you that's not on here. What do you think of Joey Porter Jr.'s comment that he is the best cornerback in the league?
Hey, man, that guy has a lot of confidence, and I respect it. We
Mm-hmm.
need that, especially in the backfield and with who we have to go up against on a day in and day out basis. He should have that confidence he should feel that he's the number one cornerback in the league. Do I think he is? I don't know yet. He's only been in the league for what, 1 year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was drafted last year with the
I
20
guess, yeah, like, it was a later pick,
he was
I
like
thought. Like a second round, wasn't it? I could have
yeah, he
sworn
might
he
have
was
been the
definitely like day
first.
two.
He might have been the first pick in the second round by the Steelers.
Yeah, so I think honestly, I'm more or less just waiting for us to see more from him. So the minute we see more from him, I'm all about supporting, but I respect my man's confidence, and we need that. We're gonna be in a dogfight this year in the AFC North. Anybody can win that division. So if he wants to say he's the number one quarterback, I'm excited for him to show us how it's done.
Yeah, he's got 1 year of experience. He was drafted 32nd overall, first pick in the second round.
Incredible.
So good for him. I like the confidence. Same with my team. Like anyone on Patriots right now that is going to start talk shit and say that they're the best at something. I guess Polk went back after he got drafted to his high school and said, "I'm winning a Super Bowl. I'm going to be an All Pro. You like write it down, like note it down." So I love the confidence of any of these players, especially the young ones, because it's fun. You and I are hopefully our teams are going to be good. But if not, it should be more fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm excited for the quarterback competition with Russell and Justin Fields. I mean, I know they keep saying that Russell's going to be the starter, but you know, one interception happens, two interceptions happen, and losses pile up. I mean, do we see Justin Fields in sooner rather than later? We shall see. But yeah, uh, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have any news on the NFL front, or I haven't been looking to it because the NBA Finals and the NHL Eastern Conference Finals are like live and well.
Yeah,
So
and
I've been
tonight's
super focused on that. The
NHL.
Stars and Oilers play, I think, because Rangers lost last night
Yeah, so
in
it's tied.
OT.
Is it
Can't
tied?
deal with all these old. Yeah, it's 2-2. Can't deal with all these overtime games, man. It's too much.
I've I've watched like 3 minutes of the games, so I do apologize.
It's
Um,
okay. It's a struggle. The constant amount of what's it called? Constant amount of stress. It's too much.
who's winning the Western Conference series?
That one, I thought the Stars were up.
Hold on. There's some dude that did a prop bet, and if Edmonton moves on, he wins like $32,000.
Let's see. Mhm. Let's look at my 2-2. Oh, 2-1 Dallas. And they
2-1
play
Dallas.
tonight.
Okay,
Play
so
play tonight at 8:30.
okay, cool. Um, well, we're going to go back to the old days where I apparently like to talk about people dying. Um,
Yeah, you have a lot of this is gonna be a really
I
sad episode.
know.
So sorry.
I literally wrote this out and I go, Kevin's gonna tell me this is horrible. Why are we talking about this? This is sad. We don't want to go back to those days. Um, but sadly, the NBA world and anyone that watched college basketball or knew anything about basketball or loved the Grateful Dead, Bill Walton passed away this past Monday at the age of 71 uh, due to a long battle of cancer. Dude was awesome. Like, so unique, so unapologetically himself. I loved watching him during Pac-12 tournaments and doing the commentating, like in a Grateful Dead shirt. Not never wore the suit tie, but had fun. He knew the sport so well and was one of the best big men to ever play. Um, you know, it's sad. I now hope that the Celtics do something for him for their jerseys for the finals and put like a patch or something. That'd be phenomenal, and go win it for Bill. Um, but a lot of glowing admiration and words for him when he passed. There's a few things my dad sent me I haven't watched yet. Scott Van Pelt did something and Will Bond did something as well. But what about you, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, Bill Walton, every time I think of Bill Walton, I just think of when he used to call games on NBC and you would always hear him say, "Throw it down, big man," whenever they wouldn't like dunk it or they were going up for a layup, and he would just consistently say, "Throw it down," specifically to Shaq. Every time Shaq would play and he'd call their games, he would always like make fun of Shaq when he would just do his like little baby hook and he would just be like, why don't you just throw it down like a big man? And that's always the one thing I always remember about Bill Walton. You know, I it's a sad day if you're a basketball fan because you just loved uh his like passion. And what I think stands out about him is I'm not sure if you saw the story that Mike Breen told about Bill Walton.
I've
Um
started to, but I had to go do something, so I haven't watched the whole thing.
Definitely highly recommend you watch that one. That one is like literally when you hear it, it's typical like Bill Walton from top to bottom. So he talks about how he would go and they'd go and visit. Mike Breen's dad was a former Navy Army shipman. And when he was getting older, one of the things that they would do is they would go visit like different like Navy SEALsman ships and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So one of the ones they were gonna visit was down in San Diego, where Bill Walton was from, and Mike Breen called Bill Walton and was like asking for hotel recommendations, and he's like, number one, you are not staying in a hotel. You're gonna stay in my house. And he talked about how he had his dad stay in the Bob Dylan room of Bill Walton's house, which every room that Bill Walton had in his house was named after his favorite musician. They would he called in a favor from the ship that was coming, and he said one of your heroes is coming back home. He got them like a full on tour of this Navy ship in San Diego, hung out with Mike Breen's dad, and then when he passed, he talked about when uh that all that Mike Breen's mother wanted to do was just meet Bill Walton, say thank you, because that's what he talked about in his last days. It's super sad. It's a 4 minute video. They have it on X and on YouTube. Definitely take a second to see it. But that's just kind of the character that you saw in Bill Walton. And we saw that on live on TV, especially like me when I loved watching him at Pac 12 after dark and those commentary games and all the ridiculous things he would say.
Taking his
But
shirt off middle of commentary.
yeah, incredible. But
Yeah.
yeah, RIP
Did,
to Bill Walton.
did you
You
hear
know,
the Rick Carlisle after the Pacers lost? They asked him about Bill because Carlisle played with Bill on the '86 Celtics.
yeah.
Um, and he goes, so not the story not many people know, but you know, meet my wife. They've been seeing each other for a little bit. He wants to impress her, right? So he was in DC and Washington DC area. Grateful Dead were having a concert. So he calls up Bill. He's like, "Hey, is there a way to get tickets to this? Like, I want to be able to get in. Like, trying to impress this girl. I kind of I like her. Da da da." And Bill's like, "Yeah, just go to the back door, ask for so and so, and they'll let you in. You'll be good to go." He's like, "Okay, you sure?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Go right ahead." They pull up to the back door of the concert, wherever the concert is. He tells his now wife to sit in the car and say, "Hey, just hold on." She's like, "Do you not have tickets? What's going on?" Um, and he goes up to the back door, knocks on the door, says the name. The guy's like, "Come on in." They had stage passes, so he was Bill Walton, and his girlfriend was, I think, Susie Walton, his wife. So they're wearing the Walton passes, and they're standing next to Grateful Dead, basically on the stage. Met all these people. He goes, it was one of the greatest things ever. Like Bill just wanted to please everybody, wanted to make everyone happy. Like the one thing I've always heard about Bill Walton was like he woke up, how could he make somebody else's life better? Because that fulfilled him. So that's a
Yeah.
phenomenal thing. So we lost a good one.
RIP to Bill, man.
Yeah.
Sad day for basketball fans.
Yeah. Saturday, another sad thing in the golf world. Grayson Murray was, I don't remember what tournament it was in this past weekend, but he exited after 2 holes for not feeling well. And then come to find out that he passed away. Sunday, the statement came out that he had passed away due to suicide. So 30 years old. He's been in the majors for 7 years, done relatively well. Had some, issues, mental health and alcoholism from what I've read and what I've listened to from his interviews. But very sad for that to happen, to occur. But big take from this in my mind is go talk. The one thing anyone will preach is if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like you need to talk to somebody, go talk to somebody. Someone's always going to be there to listen. I know I can call Kev, I can call Andrew, I can call any of my boys if I have a day where I just need to let it out, and it's vice versa. So always know there's somebody there.
Yeah, they have those hotlines for people that need to if they just don't have anybody to talk to and vent to, people got to make sure they really use those. And yeah, I heard about this story too. It sounded really, really off the wall when I heard it when they just said that he just withdrew like 2 days later, and yeah, it's that's super upsetting to hear that. I don't know the full details of what happened,
They
Merritt, so I
they
can't
haven't
really speak on it, but yeah, that's just it's a sad time, like for things that happen, especially like during this time of year. Like, this is supposed to be the start of, the summer season where, it's brighter outside, you know, people are out more. It's just definitely a somber way to like start,
Yeah,
your post Memorial Day. It's super sad.
yeah, I agree. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more uplifting. Jessica Campbell will be the first ever female assistant coach for in the NHL next year with the Seattle Kraken.
Gotta love that. Gotta love women in sports. We always applaud that. Yeah,
I
and
give her flowers. Like that's unreal.
oh yeah.
So congratulations. Also tonight is the final game of the championship for the new Professional Women's Hockey League. Minnesota versus Boston.
Oh,
So tied 2-2. I believe the final game is I think I heard on the news in Saugus. So that's in Massachusetts. So let's go Boston. Let's win this, bring it home. Maybe we can have 2 trophies to be celebrating this year. That'd be great.
here you go.
But let's move on to our favorite school ever. Uh
Ever.
even when we were little kids and we had no idea what schools were. Um West Virginia, not much to talk about. Baseball, though, did get a 3 seed for the tournament. They did make it in. If they win, they'll most likely play the University of North Carolina, who is overall number 3 in the country.
I saw that and I'm like, hell yeah. And nobody ever thought we'd be a baseball school. I'll never forget when we were in school and you look at baseball and the playing on that disgrace of a baseball
Oh,
field called Harley Field to where we are now. It's just kudos to what Coach Mazey has done in the years he's been at West Virginia, literally taking them from the bottom of the bottom to making them, they're not a perennial powerhouse, but
they're
to
good.
a much more respectable team that's able to compete in the Big 12.
And apparently, one of our guys, uh, went for it, something like that. I think it's a shortstop or something along those lines.
JJ Wentworth, right? Is that something like, does that
Yeah,
sound familiar? Something, I don't know. His name
he's a
is too damn hard to
he's a
say.
projected top 10 pick in the MLB draft. They
Incredible.
think he could have been higher, but he had a hamstring injury for majority of the season this year, so he's out. But last year he was projected at number 1 or number 2. So we have talent. We got some guys in the league. We got Alex, who's pitching it well again for the Blue Jays
Thank
after.
God he's had a rough, rough season last season. It was rough.
Yeah, that last year was a bad year for him. So I'm happy to see him turn it around. I'll still probably snag me a jersey for him in the near future.
If I could find one, hell yeah.
Oh,
You
there's
find one, let me know.
I'll look. I'll look. There's definitely them out there. Basketball, there's no updates. I think they still have like 3 open roster spots, 3 or 4 open roster spots left.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
I think they're
Football,
just waiting out because I think, that transfer period is like now over. So I
yeah.
think, the contact period has ended. And I think they're gonna work with what they have, and we'll see. Maybe somebody might come about later on. And I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm gonna trust the process, let it happen,
Yep.
and
Everyone in
see where it goes from there.
every West Virginia basketball fan this year, just enjoy the ride. It's probably not going to be as rough as it was last year. It's going to be a little rough, but we'll make it through. I know Kevin and I will probably bitch and moan about it at some point, but that's months down the line. We don't need to have those worries right now.
Yes,
Um,
not right now.
and then no football. Football is quiet. Um, that's a good thing. That's a good thing to hear. The only thing
Very, very good thing.
the only thing for us is to plan our trip to Pittsburgh. Um, but that'll be done via text message offline off the podcast. Um,
Yeah, we just got to
but
figure out how to get tickets to this thing, and I just got to
yeah,
figure out what Cyrus wants to do.
he said he
If
wants to
we're,
drive.
he said he wants to drive too, and I try to tell him, but he's like, it's gonna cost the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna cost the same thing, but
But
I mean,
you're
I guess like the the only good side is that like if we need to get to someplace, you have a car to get to someplace.
Yeah, but we're gonna be. Now we're just gonna go into it. We're staying at the casino, so,
Yeah,
so there's no. There's a lot of stuff within walking distance of that, like restaurants and other stuff. So unless you want to go to 7-Eleven or CVS to get alcohol to have in the room, I don't know. But I don't think we'll need a car. But if Cyrus, yo, I know you're gonna listen to this at some point. If you want to drive, you're more than welcome to. You're just gonna be a crazy person for doing it, and we're gonna tell you that. So if you do drive,
yeah. I
you
mean,
you have to pick all of us up at the airport. That's good. That's part of it.
yeah. And I don't know if we're gonna have enough room for all you guys.
There's 3 of us, 4 of us going. Don't, yeah,
Do
we'll
we
talk.
four of us? I
Yeah,
well, I guess we'll talk about it
yeah.
later.
Well, this will all be discussed later. Um, so yeah, we'll get that planned. But I did talk to Leland. Leland thinks they're gonna drop tickets in July
Mm.
for it. I think we bought our tickets in June or July last year, or 2 years ago. So makes
I could
sense.
have swore we bought it earlier.
Well, I bought through Pitt, so I might, maybe I can do that again. I don't want to, but I might. So we'll figure it out. Let's see. But now let's talk about the NBA playoffs. And Kevin, I'll let you start since you said you had some words.
Yeah, that was the most episode 20. What episode we're on? 20, episode 21 was the most excruciating episode I've had to listen to because they had to spend a quarter of it laughing at my sorrows of being a Knicks fan. It was the worst. I hated it. Still not getting over it. Still upset about it. And Cyrus can shut up because like it's funny. I have like the whole timestamps because I've been trying to get my content together for the
The
episode
reels.
recaps for the TikTok. And like, oh my god, it infuriates me listening to Cyrus back from when he popped into episode and then he talks about, oh, you gotta learn to be there, learn to be there, you gotta learn to be there. Well, you know what? Fuck that. Because honestly, it was just nice to finally fucking be there. And the fact that, during my week of reflection, you know, I read one of the Knicks fan Twitters talk about like, hey, just remember those times when you had to deal with things like Jerome James and then trading things for like a Steve Francis for like half a season and trading for guys like Eddie Curry and not knowing how to use the potential of guys like Zach Randolph and things like that, and trading away your picks and not picking the right people. Thinking about like taking Frank Ntilikina when you could have got Donovan Mitchell and skipping over guys like DeMar DeRozan over guys like Jordan Hill, like all of the missteps that we've had for years. The fact that we were able to get Game 7 in the Garden. No, was it upsetting to lose that Game 7? Hell fucking yeah. But, it's just amazing thinking about that. We finally got back to a point where we could say that we were in a Game 7. And I
Yeah.
will say it right now. People can get mad. Cyrus can go ahead and pop onto this podcast if he hears this. I hope he does. Worst comes to worst, I know for a fact we would have swept the Sixers in 4 if we had everybody healthy. Don't even include Julius Randle in here. Don't even include him. I'm talking about our healthy roster.
I'm not.
We would have swept the Sixers. We would have handled the Pacers in 5. And then the Celtics, we would get one win on your Celtics, at least. I can say that for a fact.
I would say
I would feel comfortable that we would have gotten a win where those sorry ass Pacers couldn't even take you guys at all.
you guys would win in 5 against Philly. I think Philly would skirt out just one win at home if they were down, say like 2-0, right? Going back to Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would lose that first game just because of the mentality, and they're like, okay, we need to win. Then go on and destroy their souls. 100% a healthy Knicks team probably sweeps Indy or goes 5 just because they played so well at home.
Yeah.
We all saw it. Like the backups were phenomenal. They all played out of their minds. I'd give you 2 wins against Celtics. I think you would take, I think we go back and forth. It would be Boston wins the first 2, New York wins the next 2, and then Boston just gets really pissed off and wins the next 2. But I would say the Knicks would battle. It would have been a hell of a lot better series. You and I probably wouldn't be talking right now. We probably would take a
We
week off
wouldn't.
of
We
it.
would have taken like a 2-week break, honestly. The
Yeah.
way the playoffs have been going, but looking back in hindsight, a lot of people have been asking like, what's next for the Knicks? I think honestly, it is just getting healthy. I
Yeah.
don't think we want to, because a lot of people have asked me, do we trade Julius Randle, get rid of him? You went so far without him. I
No.
personally don't think we trade him unless we can get a full season with the squad like together. I think it's not fair for Julius, since in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, Julius was really the first one to kind of start this whole thing. When you
He
think back,
two, three
all those
years
people
ago.
decided to go, all those people decided to go to Brooklyn for whatever reason, and Julius was the one that wanted to come to New York. He is the one that started the train, and I think he deserves a chance to stick it out to have that opportunity to get into the playoffs. If he proves that he can't handle it and it didn't work out for him, cool, let's move on.
Yeah. But I
But
agree.
I think a couple of keys are, we have a bunch of picks. I don't think we need to trade them for a veteran. Honestly would love to see if we can just continue to build the young talent. I mean, we can. I look at it, so a guy like Jericho Sims, who really didn't do anything for us this year and didn't really participate. Maybe invest in a different big man. I look at investing in multiple big men because I look at a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who's just proving time and time again that he's consistently hit by the injury bug. But yeah, those are my Knicks. I don't want to talk anywhere else before us to get emotional. It's already been a struggle.
Well,
And I've had to be very careful what I say in this podcast because, I would be boiled over, as you can tell by my text on that Sunday. Because
oh my God. I read them.
if we went, if I went live like right after the game, I literally we probably would have been canceled. We literally
Probably.
would have been canceled
Well,
because I just was not in the frame of mind to literally handle anything.
the one thing I'll give the Knicks is what I loved what I saw after the game. Um, was Josh Hart getting out of his car and walking over to the fans who were waiting for
Mm-hmm.
him.
Oh
He
yeah,
didn't just drive off. He got out, signed autographs, took some pictures, like, okay, hey, I'm gonna go. I gotta. He has to rehab his um whole body basically. Man, put it all on the line. Brunson did the same thing. He has had his wrist surgery, so he's good there. So he's got
yeah,
8 weeks to recover. That's what, 8 weeks. He's got middle of July.
yeah. Plenty of time.
That's 3 months before he has to really be in basketball shape. He's not playing on the Olympic team, so we're good. He's good there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the big question is, what do you do with OG? Because he is a free agent. I don't
I think
think
he's,
did
I
he,
think he's very important to keep
but
in
they didn't
this
lock him up,
team.
right?
No, he's a free agent right now. I don't think he's unrestricted. I think he's like a restricted free agent. I think I
Yeah, I
have to
think
double
so.
check, but OG is a big piece to this puzzle. I just remember when we first got him 14-2. And I think if he just didn't get hurt in that hamstring series, I still think we could have had a chance to beat those Pacers.
Yeah,
Him getting that hamstring injury is really what I think was that nail that started to seal in the coffin, because I just think we ran out of bodies. Ran out of bodies. And yeah, it's tough to think about. But I will say this. Positive notes. I don't know what I got to do, but I know that in my jersey collection that will hopefully soon to be shared on some sort of reel,
ooh,
it's going to include a big ragu and the Josh Hart jersey in there.
Ooh, I like that.
Whether they are DH Gate versions or regular versions,
Who
I
cares?
think they're going to be coming. I will keep you in the loop on that,
Ooh,
Merritt.
I'm excited. Um, well, Kevin, the Celtics did exactly what you asked them to do. They swept
Made
the
me
shit out of the
so
Pacers.
happy.
Um,
So happy.
I
Shout
won't
out to Drew
lie.
Holiday. I think I might get me a Drew Holiday jersey.
I won't lie. Those motherfuckers shouldn't have won that series. Holy shit. The way they played at certain points in time. Even as a Celtics fan, I'm going to say that because it's true. The Pacers should have potentially been up 3-1. But
I have some
turnovers,
definite thoughts on your Celtics, which is whoever. Well, we'll get into that when we start talking about the West because I'm nervous for your
I'm
Celtics a little bit.
I won't say I'm nervous. I think, watching the games, the first game I was nervous. And then the third game I was too, because they had a great lead. They gave it up. And they let the guys that shouldn't be that typically wouldn't be playing, right? If everyone's healthy, wouldn't be on the court at that point. Maybe for scrum minutes for like 2-3 minutes. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got worried about that because they're not playing against the guys that they're used to playing against. Um, but what I liked about it was that they showed that grit to not stop. Like game 3, I think they had 6 blocks in a row. Indy didn't score for the last 3.5 minutes
Yeah, that
at
was
all.
crazy.
And the other game a couple nights ago, they barely scored at the end of the game. So I think those types of games are perfect for the Celtics because they need that experience still. You know, whoever we play, the Timberwolves or the Mavs, it's going to be like that. It's going to be back and forth. There's not going to be any blowouts at all. I'm still going to give the edge over any of those two teams to the Celtics, especially if Porzingis is back on that court.
Yeah, I
Then
think if he comes back, I think he'll be the game changer in the series.
mm,
But I will say this: if I expect what's gonna happen, I'm excited. That's one hell of a lot of storylines. But what gets me nervous about your Celtics is that for whatever reason, the final couple minutes get really scary for your
mm-hmm.
Celtics. But for the Mavs, it's like they're just getting started. Like watching Luka call Rudy Gobert a fucking bitch was so incredible after he hit that three. I was out at this sports bar with my friend Michelle. Shout out to Michelle because we went to watch the Rangers game and we watched him literally shoot that three over Rudy. And I just remember laughing my ass off because I told her, I was like, yo, did you see what he just said to him? She goes, no, what? And I go, he literally just called him a fucking bitch. And I'm like, hell yeah. That was incredible. And Luka, the swagger he has, I had no idea that he has like a bum knee. So he's like literally doing all this on one knee. Can you imagine if that man is healthy?
Dude.
Sheesh.
We'll talk. We're going to talk about that because
There's a lot to talk about that series, to be truly honest. Like,
yeah, there's
number one, the coming out party of Anthony Edwards.
finally.
Like, finally, but it's incredible. And he's really good. If he's like
Yes.
locked in, he's unstoppable.
Now throw Drew Holiday on him. He'll piss him off. And
I mean, yeah, but Drew Holiday will be then on the next 5 trading cards with dunks on them. It's gonna get nasty.
Jaylen Brown will come in and hit him in the face. It's fine. I don't care. Whatever.
And but still, the potential of then a double poster with 2 of them on it could absolutely happen. Because man, that man Anthony Edwards,
he's
he is the truth.
he's good.
He is.
He is good.
And you know, it's one of those things. Is like I knew he was good. You know, you watched him at Georgia, he's good. And yeah, you know when people always talk about these guys, like, oh, he's great, he's great. And it's like he's finally hit the point where he knew, where he was like great, and he's like, now it's go time. I remember listening to an interview he did, in which he was on like that USA team, and like Steve Kerr was one of the coaches, and Steve Kerr's like, you make this look way too easy. You're not working hard enough. And he remembered from that point on, when he got with his trainer, he was like, I don't know what we got to do, but we got to go harder. We got to go harder because
I
they said
remember
in
that.
USA practice that he all he did is look like he's just coasting, but and he wasn't even in like a second gear. So now we're starting to see him in those second, third gear, and
It's scary.
it's he's gonna be a problem. And if Minnesota can't do whatever they got to do, I'm sure some big city team will give whatever money to give to him. Uh, yeah, I'm loving Anthony Edwards. I'm a big fan, and I'm growing to be a big fan. I love his swagger. I love his little outtakes and responses he has to things. I'm enjoying him. He's one of my favorites to watch right now.
I
And
like him too. He's
yeah,
unreal. It's funny when they were asking him about game one, why he had an oxygen mask. He goes, "You try to stay with Kyrie Irving for a whole game. I was
yeah,
tired."
yeah.
Like he's gives you the straight honest truth, which I like. Um, but at the end of the day, his supporting
He may
cast
not
has
even
to
go into the finals.
his supporting cast needs to step up. Like Cat
Yeah,
last night finally had a good game. Rudy Gobert doesn't
yeah,
even count as a
yeah.
basketball player.
It's probably
Um,
because Cat didn't shoot those 1,000 jumpers in the gym that he's claiming to be shooting every day. Did you guys watch that when
I've seen
the
it.
response by Inside the NBA? They all pretty much said his ass is lying because they ain't no way you're gonna be in there for shooting for 2.5 hours.
No, before a game, hell no.
Yeah,
Um,
which is it's crazy.
but to be honest, been extremely disappointed by this series with the Timberwolves. I thought it was going to be more of a fight.
I
It
agree.
was, the Mavericks very close games on what they won, but I was expecting this to be a tied series right
I
now.
100% thought that same
Go
thing.
go seven. They're going back to Minnesota. They might win it. They might win in Minnesota and come back 3-2, and more than likely at that point, Dallas is going to say, "Screw this, we're going to win." Problem with the Mavericks is one, Luka is hurt. He's been playing through a lot of injuries this whole season. His knees messed up, his shoulders messed up. But he's still a phenomenal basketball player. He's going to be the best player on the court if he's in the NBA Finals. He'll be the best, and Tatum will be number two. And I say that as a Celtics fan. But foul trouble with Kyrie. He fouls a lot very quickly. So he has to sit a lot more. He doesn't start scoring until the second half. And after those two, PJ Washington's good.
Not great. He's good and he's
He's good.
serviceable
I love the big man, Gafford. I think he's good.
and lively when he gets back from his concussion.
No,
Real
neck sprain.
solid.
Neck sprain. No concussion. It was
Oh,
a
it
neck
changed to a
sprain.
neck sprain.
No
Oh, dang.
concussion. Yeah, just a neck sprain.
Well,
Um,
hopefully he comes back.
they said he should be available for game 5. Um,
Mhm.
so there's those things, but it falls off, right? Like
It's a big drop off.
it's a big drop off. And it's the same with the Timberwolves. You have Ant and Towns, right? Those are your two best players typically.
Hmm.
And then you have Naz Reid, who's good. Kyle Anderson, who is the slowest shooter I've ever seen in my life. Mike Conley, who is 39 years old.
But
He's good. I like Conley.
he's
I love
but
Conley.
again, when you look at the matchups though, from like a whole roster standpoint, I personally, just by looking, would have given the edge to Minnesota. You think about the
100%.
playoff experience in Mike Conley. Um, what's the one guy that's he's in their starting lineup? I forget his name. He wears number 3. McDaniels. He's another solid guy for Minnesota. Kyle Anderson's been helping. Like overall, if you're looking just by roster, you're thinking Minnesota's taking the series. But just the way Dallas performed in the clutch, coming back from those double-digit deficits, Kyrie Irving showing off that he still has what he had a little bit left from 2016 with the Cavs,
Mm-hmm.
and Luca being Luca. Yeah, it's just I think just maybe maturity wise, I think that's what Minnesota didn't have over the Mavs. They Kyrie, he won a championship. He knows what's like to win a ring. Those guys in Minnesota, the fact that they've been anywhere close to a Western Conference Finals is haven't even been a thought yet. So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll know more tomorrow
we
night.
shall see.
We will. Well, I say tomorrow night, but this will come out probably Saturday. So we'll find out. After Thursday. But we've already talked about the NBA Finals. I'm not going to go there. The Celtics are moving on. They crushed the Pacers. Jaylen Brown won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which was phenomenal, well deserved. Could have gone to him or Tatum, so both well deserved for it. Yeah, that's it basketball wise for the NBA in my mind. What about you, Kev? You're on mute.
We pretty much hit everything NBA wise. We could go all day NBA wise. So what else we got on here?
Quick hockey update: the Panthers and Rangers series is freaking unreal.
Too damn stressful. I can't. How many overtimes do we gotta go through? Like it's just you might as well just go through like 6 games all at once. Whoever wins them the most, give them the Eastern Finals. Like they're gonna beat the hell out of each other so much that by the time they get to the Stanley Cup Finals, they might be dead.
Well, depending on how this series over in Dallas and Edmonton go, could be the same thing.
Yeah, it's good. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched a lot of hockey in a while, but I've been like sucked into these playoffs, and it's probably the most exciting season of a postseason that I've seen in a long time.
For me, like I've never been a hockey person.
Got
I'm
you.
a basketball person.
Yep, me too. I get you. Basketball's priority in this
So
life.
I never really paid attention to hockey until it gets to the playoffs because that's actually, and anyone that's a hockey fan that's listening to this is not me being a jerk, but playoff hockey is different hockey. Like it's
It
just
is.
this intensity level is so different. It's like the NBA. Once you get to the NBA playoffs, I'm gonna throw a bow at you, and they're not gonna call it. Hockey, you're gonna throw a punch, and they ain't gonna call it. In the Panthers Bruins series, I just point out one. So it is fun. I'll probably watch a little bit more. Maybe I'll catch tomorrow night's game for the Rangers and watch that one to see who wins. Not like I care. Excuse me. But
Yep. Feel the enthusiasm.
yeah, sorry. As it's, you know, 8 o'clock at night. It's almost my bedtime.
I know mine too. I might fall asleep.
No, you've done that before.
I have done that before, but I haven't done that in a while.
No, you haven't done it in a while. Um, let's talk about WNBA. It's been 2 weeks. Their
Yeah.
season has been undergoing. Great games. Some blowouts. The
Some
Fever have
surprises.
some surprises. The season, let's be honest, has just started. But your top teams, your Liberty and your Aces, multiple losses. The Mercury last night were held to 3.6% from 3-point land against the Suns, or the Sun rather.
Yeah.
That's horrible. But like it's different. There's a different vibe, and I love it because the competition is better. Even last night's Fever and Spark game, I know LA won, was still a heck of a game. They were going back and forth for a while.
Did you
Um,
see like the attendance on that game? They
it
said
was
that that game had 18,000 people, and that game was more than that the Lakers had the entire season.
no, that was a home opener.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
So
crazy to think
last night's
about.
game was in Indy. Was in Indy.
Oh, and Indy.
That was
Okay.
in Indy. The one that you're talking about was in LA, and they had 19,000 something, and the
And the
average
Lakers only
attendance
had 18.
for Lakers game was 18.
That's crazy to think about. Like this, I don't think like I knew this Caitlin Clark effect is like happening, but I just really didn't think that how big it's like really happening. Like it's so crazy. And it's nice to see her because you guys talked about the WNBA and how like, the pressure is on them, which it is, but it's nice to see like I remember the last time seeing Caitlin Clark, she looked like all super tense, and there are times she's still looking that way, but it's good to see like she's starting to play a little bit looser now.
Yeah,
So I think she's gonna get. I think she's getting through her rookie growing pains. Same way, like person like Cameron Brink and Angel Reese, like they're gonna be coming, and I'm very invested into this WNBA season this year. I'm excited to see how it's gonna pan out. I gotta make sure I get me to a Liberty game somehow. But yeah, I'm intrigued on this. Like, my attention's on it a lot more than it has been in the past.
same here.
So let's
Yeah,
let's keep it going.
like last night, I think we were watching something, and I literally had on my phone the Liberty, not the Liberty, but the Sparks and Fever game. I'm like watching. I'm like, oh, this is great. And I was doing it like last week too. So
Speaking of FYI, quick update at halftime, Liberty up on the Mercury, 47-44. If you guys want to catch it, it's on the CBS Sports Network if you guys have that available.
let's go. That's my girls. It's my team.
Let's
Um.
see where the standing. I want to see what the standings are at.
Oh yeah.
Standings right now, undefeated, 6-0, the Connecticut Sun, followed by a 4-1 Minnesota Lynx,
Mm,
followed by a Las Vegas Aces 3-1, and then you have the Liberty at 4-2, Dallas 3-2, and then taking over Seattle 4-3.
okay.
Yeah. So right now, the Mystics are the bottom of the barrel right now at 0-6, followed by Indy with their 1 win and the Sparks with their 2 wins. The Sparks, the Sky is from Chicago, and the Atlanta Dream all have 2 wins. So right now, it's pretty. So like, well, the West would end up being Minnesota, Vegas, Dallas, Seattle, and the Eastern Conference would be Connecticut, New York, Atlanta, Chicago. Um, so definitely lots of game to be played. It looks like the Mystics are going for the Paige Beckers grand prize, but who knows? Paige might end up at Golden State and be a Valkyrie, which I think would be pretty cool. But
That would be really cool.
truth will be told.
Um, but like you said, the rookies that you mentioned are stepping up and playing great when they're in there. Growing pains, all of them, but unreal to watch. I saw this today, and I want to quickly ask: do you think the WNBA is the hardest league to stay in? Because I'm going to use the example of the Aces letting go of one of the leading scorers in college basketball over the weekend.
Yeah. Taisha Fair
Yeah.
from Syracuse. Yeah, I think the WNBA it probably is the hardest league to stay in because there's not enough teams. We need more teams. Thank
Mm-hmm.
God we're getting the Valkyries in Golden State and Toronto's coming, which I think you have a follow-up question for that
I
when I look.
do.
But we need more teams. We need more teams to be in the W. We need to keep our good players home. Like, for example, I remember looking back, like one of the star point guards from 2 years ago, South Carolina team, Bria Beal, can't even stay on a roster, and she was like one of the top like scoring point guards. Like, what are we doing? We got to keep these ladies here in the states. So I'm really happy for the W to get more teams. I'm excited. That just means another 12 more jobs that we're offering, and I just really hope that we can get to maybe what. So we're at 12. What do you think would be an ideal number of teams for the W?
20.
I think 20 would be a good number. I think even think 16, 18 or 16 or 18.
Yeah, either what I would say anywhere between 16 and 20 would be great. If you can get more, awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's I agree. It is the toughest league to stay in just because there's no developmental league like majority of all the other pro sports for men's have. Um,
Yeah.
your other options are just to go overseas, where
Hmm.
we no one watches. Sadly, we're not watching those games, um, because of
And
the
it's
time
crazy to think
differences.
about. We're not watching the women's games, yet they're getting paid the most overseas.
Yeah, they get paid unreal, which is great because everywhere else in the world appreciate what these women do. We just apparently are a little behind. Um, but I am excited. I'd like to see them at least, you know, split it nicely instead of what the NBA does, where it's like, this team needs it. This city needs a team. Give me a reason why. I don't think we should have an NBA team in Vegas. I think that's stupid. That's
I
my
think
thinking.
it's just got to make sense. Make
Right.
it make sense.
Like NBA, bring back the Supersonics.
Hmm.
Yeah, everyone's asked for it. Why don't we do it?
Hmm.
Come on. But let's go talk about this one. This is going to be a fun one. So Toronto has been granted the next expansion team, which they'll play in the 2025 2026 season. I think 26.
26 is Toronto, 25 is
5 is
Golden
Valkyrie.
State.
Okay. Um, what do you think the team name should be? I've seen a few get tossed out there, but I wanted to see
Yes.
what your thought was. What would you want?
I think here's my thing. I think I'd like to know what the color scheme possibly could be.
Okay.
Um,
Let's go that
because
it's
for
going to be off
example,
the same color scheme as the Toronto Raptors. Let's just use that.
just like fantasy booking, sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
See, like with that, so like a couple names I've heard of the Toronto Terror because of the definition that terror is a group of raptors together. So that's one, but I just I think that sucks,
Yeah.
truthfully. I've heard of in honor of the CN Tower, the Toronto Towers, but then like every time I think of like towers, I think of like super tall. Like I don't think it's
Yeah.
and please don't get offended when I say this. I just don't think it's very I don't know women like. I don't think it describes a strength as strong of a woman, a tower. I think people would be like offended by that. Truthfully, um, I keep hearing huskies. I
Yeah,
think
I've heard
that's
that one.
super boring because how many huskies do you really need to have? Um, it's a really and the other one which I think is okay, but I think it just depends. I've heard the Toronto Northern Lights.
Ooh.
It doesn't sound too bad. I would say, how about this? If you were to call the team, I think if you're announcing it, you need to announce it as the Northern Lights of Toronto, not say Toronto Northern Lights.
I agree. I think,
Like if it's gonna be the Northern Lights when they so you like anytime they get introduced. So like remember when like Anaheim was like the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim? I think it should be something like that where it's the Northern Lights of Toronto.
yeah, I think I'm reading a few of them.
What else are you seeing?
So hold on, I gotta pop that back open. I see the Raptors.
That's
Yeah,
extra
that's
corny. I saw that
just
too. That
really
sucks.
stupid. The Toronto Saurus Rex
That
play
also sucks.
a pun on Tyrannosaurus Rex. Um, let's see. The Toronto Pterodactyls. I don't like that. We have the Toronto Triceratops. I think we need to stop with the whole dinosaur theme. The towers, which is stupid.
Yeah, there ain't no damn dinosaurs in Toronto. So why are we going with the
The
craziness?
loons, the Toronto loons, because that's a national bird there, I guess. Um, the Toronto Talons. No,
Tal that a Talon. Ugh.
yeah, no, no, no. I'm gonna do that. That's
I
just
see one
dumb.
over here that
Uh,
says
Huskies and then Northern Lights.
I hear also uh Toronto Toronto traffic. Somebody
Oh
actually
yeah, I
put
saw
that.
that. Or this one, the other name could be instead of Northern Lights, the Aurora, the Toronto Aurora.
See, again,
I like that.
you
The
no,
Aurora of
so
Toronto is what you'd have to call it.
I think you should call it the Aurora of Toronto. But is
Mm.
that too hard for people to say?
Well, that's why you would want it to be. I think you.
Aurora, or do you call it the Aura of Toronto?
Mm,
Couple other ones that I see that are absolutely abysmal and lack the Toronto Dinos, trash.
people.
Yeah, the Toronto Sixers. Why would we name them after the Philadelphia 76ers? The oh, the Toronto Raptors, trash. The Toronto Argonauts to play off of, I guess, their CFL team, the Argonauts. Someone even mentioned Toronto Sirens or Amazons to kind of take after like a mythical female group.
No, that's just stupid.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I think the best one that I've heard so far is the Northern Lights of Toronto.
Let's see.
What else you got?
Uh,
Yeah, so I have somebody that says that they don't like the Toronto Northern Lights because it's a mouthful. I agree. It is a bit mouthful. Or
I
would
like
you
it.
even or would you even consider like simply the North? Just call them
No, because
North.
that's what they call the men's team. That they already
Oh,
have
that's
that.
right. The G League team has that. That's actually
The the G
bad.
League team is 905, but they have the NBA team has the jerseys that say the North on them. So they
Yeah.
already have that one trademarked. Um, I personally, eh, I would love if I like the Northern Light. I, I like I like that one.
I think that's honestly the best sounding one out of everyone I've said.
Yeah, it's out of all the ones that I've seen, of all the ones that we've already talked about, Northern Lights is just the best out of them all. But we'll see. We're just going off of what
Two
people are
years
writing.
away.
You
Two
know,
years away.
we'll know next year on what the team name will be, and more than likely, JoJo's going to probably play there in cold Toronto in a couple of years because
Yeah.
they'll be an expansion team, so they get the first overall pick.
I don't do they necessarily they still do a lottery, don't they?
They probably.
The
I wonder
WNBA
how
still
they
does
would
a
do.
lottery.
They might.
I think they just give them like a rather higher percentage of balls.
That makes sense. Or they could do what the NHL does is when they have an
True.
expansion team, they have to regulate or regulate somebody to that team from each team, which I think would be cool.
Ah,
So you can't like allow one of your stars to go, right? They
yeah.
can't be a perennial star. So like for Liberty, you're not giving up
Sabrina or
Sabrina or Stewie,
Stewie.
but you can let go of anybody else. So maybe they say, hey, you know what? We'll give you Vandersloot. Okay, cool. You
Which I would
build
hope they would not do.
right, but that's just the example. So like I think that'd be cool. I think that one that keeps the team some of these women that may not make the roster in the league that
Yeah.
way.
Well,
You
when the NBA does theirs, the NBA is allowed to hold. They do where they hold 7 guys that they keep, and then everybody else that is
It's
on
fair
their team
game.
is fair game. Because that's how they filled out their expansion team. I remember
Yeah.
when like when the Bobcats were. We're new.
God.
No, aging ourselves right now.
Yeah, we're old. Um, well, that's all I had. That's simple. Do you have any filibuster questions from this week?
I mean, I only we did two. We took a 2 week hiatus.
I know, I saw that.
So, pretty much, well, I'm trying to see which one. The one of them I don't know if you'll have an answer to is your favorite Murph moment. But I don't know. Have you ever done Murph before?
I know what it is. I have never done one.
Honestly, save yourself the hurt and pain for 2 weeks of your life. You probably will save a couple years. But here's a good one. What was one of your things that you look forward to when Memorial Weekend comes? That was our last one we did.
Ooh, one of my favorite things when Memorial Weekend comes.
Yeah, like what gets you excited for Memorial Day weekend?
Honestly, I just like hanging out. Like I don't Memorial Day weekend isn't anything crazy for me anymore. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when we were younger, Memorial Day weekend meant, all right, I'm gonna get completely hammered and probably die.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't really do that anymore. I have a kid, so I can't.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Next level.
yeah, new level has been achieved. But mine would just probably be, chilling with friends and having a couple beers and dogs or whatever, and just hanging out for the day or for the weekend. If I can get on a boat, I'm gonna be on a boat, but
There you go.
don't know a lot of people with boats.
Yeah. So for
So yeah.
me, so this weekend I was out with my OG group of friends, those that you have seen on the podcast. The Knicks squad we were all together, just being together, out enjoying some sun over in the Atlantic Highlands in Jersey. Went out to a place called the Proving Ground. You probably saw a new picture of me on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And, out
Looking
there.
good, oh, by the way. Looking
I'm
good.
trying. I just saw like my in-body scan, which is this thing that I measure myself at the gym.
I love that thing.
Uh, Stresses me the hell out. But good thing I only gained 0.2 pounds from since last month.
Okay.
But I've lost body fat and gained muscle.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So shout out to the InBody machine for coming in clutch, and shout out to the front desk girl Gabby for making sure I can see my InBody results because I couldn't see them for like a couple days after. But to that fact, I think the thing that gets me excited about Memorial Day weekend is that means it's summer's here. Summer is here, alive and well, and I'm just happy about that because that means Kevin Quavo month is approaching, along
I
with my
can't
birthday.
wait.
So yeah, and that's all I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything then? I don't think so.
No, I think if anything, we just got to figure out if there's anybody else that wants to join us. We haven't had a guest on other than
Working on
Cyrus in
that.
a while. Okay. Merritt is working on the guests. Shall I just outro us out then?
Yeah. Well, why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that's the outro. Good to be back. Missed you guys. Hopefully you missed me. If you didn't, hey, just listen back to episode 21 with Cyrus. Then you don't have to worry about me. But as I go ahead and I digress, thank you guys for continuing to listen in. Season 3, we're out here rocking and rolling. Make sure you listen to us on all streaming platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, and we are on Amazon Play. Make sure you watch us on the YouTube at the Manly Musings podcast page. Follow our Instagrams. You can follow Merritt at Merritt_P. Follow me at CakesWave624. Follow the podcast Instagram at the Manly Musings Pod. And also make sure you follow the TikTok as well at the Manly Musings Pod, where you'll see our episode recaps of our We Out Here's, and also the home of the Filibuxters with your Filipino Star Bucksters. But happy Wednesday, almost June. You know, we're just gonna keep rocking out. Merritt's working on guests, and we'll just see y'all soon. Take care, y'all. Peace.